Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lilu Nishmas Imi Morosi Rospas Mordechai. Today's shir is being sponsored by our good friend Yossi Klein from Superior Plumbing in Monsey. I'm talking. You don't hear? Now you hear. Okay, we'll do it again. Oh, you heard. Givaldig, where is it? Thank you for all you do for Klal Yisroel. Yishkoyach Reb Yossi. We have a tremendous guest here today. Heinach is here. All the way from Yerushalayim, right? Manchester. Stopped in Yerushalayim and came over here. Yishkoyach for visiting. Oh, I could say it to you in person. He's the one that wrote us an email how he decided during Shiva he's going to go weiter. He thought to himself, wow. At the basic, where was it? At the basic far is he thinking all this? These are the thoughts?
My brother was lived in Manchester.
Yeah.
My father asked me to go to Javan as he lived this, so I went to Arab Means Kedra.
Yeah.
Right as the Benefit. So the Chevra Kedisha was there.
Big kids, the Chevra Kedisha told you can't learn Torah. You were very depressed for a second, then you realize you just go weiter. You skip. Do you try to make it up a little bit? Not yet. Later. 100. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Givaldig, you gave chizuk. We got another email afterwards from somebody else that said I took his advice. Great. Rabbi Sai, we have a great guy on the shir every day. You could see him after shir. He's a great kid. His name is Eli Trapper. And he asked me to say this email. So I'm saying it, L'chvoid Eli Trapper. The song we sang yesterday, we sing it once a year on Simchas Torah. Hoshia Samecha. Very good. What? Oh, yeah, but this is yesterday to when he... Here's an email from David Goldberg. Those of you from talking about a guy from Manchester. This is not so much Manchester, but England. No, they're very close together. Kemat, Flatbush, and California. This is the first email I'm sending you that I'm writing to introduce myself to you. Having been a participant in your shir for a couple of months now. Although I have other learning programs during the day, the attraction of being able to make a siyum on Pesachim on Erev Pesach was irresistible, so I decided to join the Daf Yomi shir. Yours came highly recommended, and I certainly have not been disappointed. I really enjoy the banter, the lively way you present the shir. You don't see me on Zoom because I listen on YouTube a couple of hours after you give the shir live. I'd like to make a shout out to my former partner, Reb Yankiv Schoenberg. Reb Yankiv, when are you coming back to Beis Medrash? I heard you're coming soon. Reb Yankiv Schoenberg is featured almost every week in our Merkaz. Tremendous Talmid Chacham with the Hadras Panim. He was a partner in that accounting firm. His part of Yeshiva was a very popular partner in our accountancy practice here in London. In fact, my colleague, Dov Harris, I know as part of your Chabura and is a number of my partners also do Daf Yomi. Shout out to Baruch Brennig, Baruch Lei, Asher Sternlich. You know these guys? Baruch Lei, he knows. Asher Sternlich, and our semi-retired consultant, Noach Schwartz. All these guys do the daf with us. Unbelievable. A number of our other partners learn other things regularly, and they too deserve a shout out. Well, listen, we have no problem giving shout outs to stam random people. If you have the time, Moshe Bronner, Cohen, and Penny Alsberg. My boy said they got to join the group though. I always enjoyed the interesting snippets you share and was particularly interested in that you recently referred. This is what I mentioned yesterday. Yehuda ben Dersoy is the only time mentioned in Shas. And then a few lines later, Rabbi Yehuda ben Safra, or the Levi's, that is per my research, this is also the only time that he appears in Bavli. David Goldberg. Listen, Rabbi David, I do it balpeh. I'm not like researching. People that know Shas like this, they know. No, I'm kidding. All right, one last thing here. Yisroel Ausfresser. Again, learning Torah on the plane on the way to vacation. If you look closely, it doesn't say where, but if you look closely, he's going to Orlando. It says in big letters on his map. So you know that this is not a setup because he has a Gemara without English in it. Unbelievable. Okay. Rabbi Sai, a very, very exciting daf today. Very simple, actually, with a lot of pictures. First, we have to finish off Daf Ein Gimel and Beis. We're holding like 11 lines from the bottom. Smack in the middle of a sugya. We'll take it back a step. We'll finish, and we'll start a brand new parak. We had a shita of Rav, and that's if you have a korban asham, a person did an avera, he has to bring an asham. And it's a nitak l'ri'iyah. What does that mean? A new concept, sort of. The owner of this asham died this animal has no eitzah. There's nothing you can do with it. The owner died. So, Chata Shemesu Ba'aleh Yamos, this Asham has an eitzah, sort of. You let it graze until it befalls mum. Then you take it, you sell it, and you buy karbanis with it. What happens? The guy jumps the gun. Before it has a mum, he goes and shechs it. So Rav says it becomes an oila. So he said, l'chayra, Rav is saying that it happens automatically. So here's the shayla, bayakira, loy bayakira. Does it happen automatically? Loy bayakira. You don't have to physically uproot it. It uproots itself. The Torah does the job for you. Or do you have to do the job yourself? And then the Gemara brings an Ayin Gimel Amud Beis all the way at the top, a brisa that seems to contradict Rav. It says, if a person shechted a carbon Pesach and only afterwards you realize that there's nobody left in the group, so you have to burn it right away. Burn it right away. The Gemara says that means that there's a psul in the guf. If it happens automatically, if loy bayakira, then it should automatically been made a shlamim, and you wouldn't burn it right away. Now you're dealing with a shlamim, and the only problem that occurred here is that you shechted it after the carbon tamid. No, not the end of the world. You wouldn't have to burn it right away. You burn it the following day. From the fact that you burn it right away, you see it doesn't happen automatically. What do? Rav says it happens automatically. The Brisa seems to say it doesn't happen. Now that we know this, Rav Ashi Omar. Rav da Omar Rabbi Shmuel Benoish Rabbi Yochanan Broika. So you ask me, there's a contradiction between Rav and a Brisa. Okay, so Rav Ashi is going and saying, you know what, there is a contradiction. But Rav has another Brisa that goes like him, so it's fine. The sign Rabbi Shmuel Benoish Rabbi Yochanan Broika. Im yeshos bayoyim leidai mashchul ba'alim esideim. This same case. Person shechted the carbon Pesach and then only afterwards realized that everybody of the group, the entire group, is gone. Bye-bye. We said that makes the carbon Pesach puzzle. So it should happen automatically. That what? That it becomes a shlamim. And remember this word, it says they become tamei. Chayev, the person is chayev. Why? Im yesh shows bayayim. If there's enough time for him to figure out that everybody left, if there's enough time to figure out that the people are tamei, chayev. Why? Because we're dealing with the sugya of Taya bidvar mitzvah. Somebody's making a mistake when he's performing a mitzvah. But we said there's a difference between Taya, a person that makes a mistake, and Shoigig. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. I have to stop. Rabbi Say, there's an individual here in the shir that has a problem wearing a mask. I got a lot of emails, and I know the problem. The problem is because these masks are very, very, they're not comfortable. And this person had COVID already. So I went out of my way and I bought this guy a $45 Synovia mask, the best. Only MDY people wear this mask. Here you go, Nachman. What? It's for you. He's wearing a mask, sorry. Okay, but at different times that you know. Fine. But you know what I chapped? I chapped that, Lamaisa, you're part of MDY. You are MDY. You were here from almost day one, and you are our official MC, and v'chulu. So l'maisa, you get a mask like everybody from MDY. So up to Gemara. But it says that if a person realizes that there's nobody left of the group, or the people became tamei, he's chayav. Why? He's considered a shoigeg, not a toiv dvar mitzvah. Shoigeg brings a carbon. V'tu'u bar tzurasai, v'yoytzel beis hasreifa. My timer. Why is this? La mishum delay bayakira. Because he goes, this is perfect. This fits in with Rav, that you don't need to uproot it yourself. V'mai, says the Gemara. Who told you? How do you know that Rav has a great source called this brisa? Dilma mishum desavala ketana debei Rabbi Baravu adama afilu pigul nami bayi b'tzura. There is a Tana out there that even when the psul is in the body of the animal itself, pigul, the kohen thinks to himself that this animal is going to be eaten outside of its allotted time. Let's say an animal is allowed to be eaten for 2 days and a night. He says 3 days. I'm going to eat it in 3 days from now. It becomes pigul, but he made the pigul in the animal. Even so, holds this Tana, you don't burn it right away. You let it stay overnight. Tu bar tzurasa, becomes lina, becomes noisar, and then you burn it. Why? The Aleph, avain. Here, we have this. It says in the pasuk, V'anefesh hoyicheles mimeno avoino tisa avoin. And it says voyichlav avoino. Yeah, you're right. It's supposed to be red over here. Red. Avoino. We learn from Noisar, Pigel from Noisar. That what? Just like Noisar obviously is the next day. So too Pigel nami boy ibutzuro. Afilu Pigel nami boy ibutzuro. The yelf ovenov Noisar. That Pigel also needs to wait until the following day. You don't burn it right away. I'll prove it to you. If the owners became Tamei, that was one of the cases we just said. Now, Havadai Boyakira. We had it the other day. If the owner becomes Tamei, what do you do with his Korban Pesach? He has a Korban Pesach, he designated Korban Pesach, and now he becomes Tamei. Does it happen automatically that the Korban Pesach turns into Shlamim? No. He wants to use it again next month. So obviously it doesn't flip automatically. Domer Rebchir Bar Gamda. Oh, Havadi Boyakira. Domer Rebchir Bar Gamda, Nakamoda. That of course, if they get pushed off the Pesach Sheni, the Torah is not going to take away his carbon from him and make it into a shlamim. He needs to use it again. He needs to use it in a month. So then it doesn't flip over. So in that case, of course, you need to do it yourself. You have to say, I want to flip it. Otherwise, it doesn't happen automatically. So Mela, the whole thing is talking about, the whole Bryce is talking about, you need to be oiker it yourself. Yesterday we had this teretz, just to repeat real quickly, that Rav holds that the carbon becomes a shlamim automatically. Loi bayakira. It happens automatically. So what's going on over here? What happens is that somebody came along and shechted this carbon that became a shlamim, shechted it l'shem Pesach. And then he made a psul in the body. When you make a psul in the guf animal, then you have to burn it immediately. Otherwise, enochanami. Loi bayakira means it turns into a shlamim. If it turns into a shlamim, you don't have to burn it right away. You wait till the next day. The reason why in this case you have to burn it right away, even though loi bayakira, is because somebody came along, somebody messed it up. Yes, it flipped into a shlamim by itself. But he thought while he was shechting it that it's a Korban Pesach, and therefore there's a psul in it. It became a puzzle itself. Burn it immediately. Hadran Alach elu dvarim. Hadran Alach elu dvarim. Hadran Alach elu dvarim. I'll tell you Mazel Tov for a few minutes here because we're going through some very, very difficult sugyas. I spoke to a lot of people. A lot of people have difficulties with kachim. The good news is we only have 25 more days. It's till Tzadik Tes. Today's dapim right now is going to be smooth like butter. Says the Mishnah, Keitzad Tzoylin Es HaPesach. What's the process? Rabbi Yossi, it's going to get a little gory. We have a lot of beautiful pictures. But we need to know these halachas. You know, it's coming up. We need to know. So don't be scared of an open heart and a this and a shvud. It's all good. Keitzad Tzoylin Es HaPesach. Mivim Shapud Shel Rimoin. You take a piece of pomegranate tree, and only a pomegranate tree. No other tree will do the job. I was tempted to go to the park. We have tons of pomegranates, start cutting down the thing, whatever. I decided not to do it. It's not really my tree. I had a couple, I was more heter. The city needs my services, pruning, whatever. Decided not to. Here, the picture will suffice. You take this piece of, it's a skewer made out of wood, and you start from its mouth, and it ends up on the other side, the other opening of the animal. Here it is. It goes from side to side. It goes in the mouth, comes out right over here. Says the Mishnah, ad beis nikuvasoi. Now, Taisa just points out real quickly that this side that's by the animal's mouth is wider. Otherwise, the animal will slip off. So you go from the wide to the narrow, and the wider part is by its mouth. V'noisen es kra'av, says in the pasuk, ki'im tzli eish roishoy al kra'av, its legs, v'al kirboy. It's mashma, they all go together. So how does that look? First of all, it's a beautiful picture. This is all taken from the Kol Halashon book. These are the legs. You chop them off. You'll see, you can even see in this picture right over here, he's missing its leg. See? It's snipped by the knee. So, you take the legs, and the innards nicely on a nice piece of china, and you put it with the animal. Where exactly does it go with the animal? We just saw the pasuk. Roishe, krav, al krav, it should be together. Where? So we're machlokes in the Mishnah. V'noisen is krav, you take the legs, ves b'nei me'av, the intestines, l'toichai. You put it inside. Picture. So you slit open the stomach, and you can see the legs. You take them and put them inside. This is like a pot for the legs and the innards.
You don't skin it first?
Yeah, here it's skinned. Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think so. Divrei vezbnei mi'av divrei Rabbi Yossi Glili. Rabbi Akiva oimer kimin bishul uzeh. We know ki im sli'esh, the whole thing has to be roasted. You're taking another piece of meat, putting it in the inside. That's more. Oops, no water. Okay, different day. No, not everybody together. Yishkoyach. Kimin. So now I can't be upset at Yeshua anymore for getting the water. It's a tough job, I know. You can't put the innards inside. You're cooking it. Ella, toilin chutzalai. You're going to hang it outside. Here are all the innards. Here's the legs. Here's the head. You see the head right over here. Everything is hanging on the bottom of it. Shkoyach gadol ma'od. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. You like this stuff, huh? People like Noam and Nachman, you don't like this stuff, right? No, these pictures, these disgusting. No, you don't care. There's a couple of people always complain when we're doing kachim.
Who have a problem with people who don't wear masks. They have a problem with this guy.
Okay, but that's the law. That's the law. Nachman is making a machad that he has to wear a mask.
I don't know why you're talking about this in front of the whole world. Thank you.
The whole world saw you. I have no choice. You decided to take off your mask in front of the whole world, not me.
I have to bring it up.
Sorry, Nachman.
No, the vice big rabbi.
No, come here. Come here, you'll get a little kiss from me. Vein soilus Pesach. Why? That happened 25 minutes ago.
No big deal. No problem.
Ein soilus Pesach lo yela shapud v'lo yela askola. I'm asking you mechila barabim. It's barab. Ein soilus Pesach lo yela shapud. No, come help me out quickly. Ein soilus Pesach lo yela shapud v'lo yela askola. So now, you hear Nachman? You can't roast it on a metal skewer. This is a nice metal thing. It's not that thing that spins around and it's not metal. The Gemara is going to explain why. Because it conducts heat. And the Torah says, al tzli, it has to be roasted from the exterior fire, not from an inner metal. V'lo yala askola. Askola is a grill. So we're going to see in the Gemara, a grill again is a problem. Touching the grill, not touching the grill. The problem is, where does the heat come from a grill? Does it come from the fire in the coals, or does it come from the metal grate? Omar Tzaddik, Ma'aser Gamliel she'omar letovi avdoi tzei utzlei lanu es haPesach al haskola. So Tavi says to his famous Eved. Anybody remember Tavi? Brachas. What happened in Brachas? Sukkah. What happened in Sukkah? Right. He slept on the bed, Tavi, and he said, look at my Eved, he's a Talmud Chacham. What happened in Brachas? Laibi, no. Laibi. Okay, what? Where was it that he poked his eye by mistake? That was a different place. Rabbi Gamliel poked out Tavi's eye, and then he was sameach simcha g'dayla. He was very excited. He poked out his eye because he said now he'll be meshucher, ever meshucher. And they told him no, you made a mistake. It was in front of it. Okay, fine. Oh, very good. In Brachas, Tavi was mekabel tanchumim. When Tavi died, Rabbi Gamliel was mekabel tanchumim, and he said kosher haya. He was a kosher. Very good. So this Tavi, this famous slave who was a chashav yid, a big Talmud Chacham, it wasn't a yid, chashav eved. He told him, "Tzei utzalei lanu es haPesach alo askola." I want you to go ahead and grill on top of a grill. Take this Korban Pesach and do it on the grill. Says the Gemara, what's wrong with a skewer that's metal? Since part of the metal is touching the flame, so we know metal conducts heat, so the heat is going to go through the animal and it's going to heat up the inside of the animal through the metal, not through the fire. V'rachmana omar, tzli eish. The only way to do it is through v'koa matvi machmas hashapud. What would I do without you now? What would I do without you? For the good and the bad. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. V'koa matvi machmas hashapud. He roasted it through the skewer. Rachmana omar, tzli eish. This reminds me, Nachman. Remember we once had a barbecue, just me and you, on my porch? Remember? Was our wives also? Yeah, you remember? Okay, good. No one was zeicher to such a thing. No one. Rachmana omar, tzli eish. I didn't eat? You remember that? He remembers that I sat there. So what a tzaddik I was. I made you a barbecue, and I didn't even eat. I didn't even eat. What yishkoyach? Adarabba, what a chashav zach it is. How many people make barbecues for their friends that don't even eat? Okay, so it has to be through, I saw the most interesting shaila ever. Here's the shaila. Where was it? Here. I'm not kidding you. This is the shaila. You hear? What's the shaila? How does this translate to a question? Anybody? Could somebody come up, think? I'll tell you how. This is made out of metal. Ask this guy, only in Eretz Yisrael you have a question like this. So Avram Elbaz in his sefer. If a guy he always uses his left handle and mixes his coffee. But it's my question. But then with the left handle, he mixes his fleshik soup. Every day he does the same thing. Right, coffee. Left. Does the heat transfer across and make it trafe? He wants to know if he just ate. He just learned the sugya that he transfers. Unbelievable. There's no answer in the sefer. No answer. No, that we know is also. That's not. Oh, the glass to burn. No, it's no good. No good. Yes. Dr. Factor wants to know if earwax is flavored. Yes, we're on a roll. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I get you your water and meds now?
Why is everybody picking on me? All I did was I gave the guy a $45 mask, and everybody's upset at me. What did I do? Weiter. Baked Rimabik Mayo Sharimo Nami says the Gemara. Okay. All right, let's calm down, Rabbi Isai. Let's do this. We can do it. Sharimo Nami. Oh, no, I skipped. Let's just start from the beginning of the daf. Let's pretend that this happened. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Oh, ask the Gemara. Let him bring a branch from a palm tree. What's wrong with palm? I did this by shibei. There's some grooves in there, some indentations, whatever. Mapik mayo v'havik mevushol. It constantly has condensation that comes out, and the condensation, the water is going to boil up this carbon pesach, and that's called a mevushol. And we said it has to be roasted, not cooked. Let's then bring some fig wood. I did the mechalchel again. Mapik mayo v'havelek mevushol. Okay. Let him bring an oak tree, shalcharov, carob, shikma, sycamore. On a typical day, I would bring some pictures of sycamore. Not today. We have way too many pictures. I did this by kitre, since they have knots. Mapik mayo. Rashi explains beautifully. So knots have water? No. If you have a knot and you want to make a nice smooth skewer, you got to take off the knot. Oh, you take off the knot, now it has a hole in the wood, and from there the water comes out and is mevashel your carbon pesach, and that's a problem. Sharimo and the Gemara nami is bekitre. It also has knots in it. The pomegranate wood, shie kitre. They're smoother. I don't need to remove them, and memela the water stays inside the wood. Viboy some other people say benavgo barshato the less bekitre. We're talking about under a year old, so it doesn't have the knots. As the Gemara v'ika bei piske. At the end of the day, you have to cut the wood off. You're not taking the whole pomegranate tree with you. You're cutting off a branch. So wherever you cut the branch, that's going to ooze water. Says the Gemara, the mapik lebei piska bar. So it's not the actual skewer. It's only the end. Okay, so the end that part that has the water, here, let's say this is the end where the water comes out, that will remain outside of the animal. Says the Gemara. Okay. So, first of all, real quickly, we just said that you have to have tzli eish. So there's an interesting Kolboy, who's a Rishon. He says that in our day, by the Lela Seder, the Zroya must be roasted, Zeicher to the Korban Pesach. The egg, he says, should not be roasted, should be cooked. I don't know. I know that we, in my house, I don't know why I have to look into it. I think we cook the egg first, and then we put it on the flame, and we give it a little bit of a black. He's shaking his head, Leiby. I know other people, yeah. The problem that I realized is that goes l'shitas bentema. We don't really pass like bentema, no? Only bentema says chagiga. The egg is for chagiga. Is chagiga identical to Korban Pesach? Do you need tzli or not? That's bentema. Okay, maybe to be yotze that shita. The bottom line is that people are asking a lot of shilas on this, and the Taz, I believe, says that it's better not to roast even the zroya. And they'll say why? Because you want to be able to eat it. Now we say that's our minhag, especially according to the Ramah, Ashkenazim especially, we don't eat anything that's roasted. But you want to eat that at the Leila Seder. So the eitz is just to be mevashal it. We saw the Mishnah Berurah back then. The Mishnah Berurah says, you do roast it, but he says, Tmihani, whatever the lashon was over there, how could people throw it out into the garbage? Remember, the zroya, it's like kind of nasty after a while. So he says it's important to eat it the following day. All right, Zok Gemara. The Maslisin loik Rabbi Yehuda, the Sanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Keshem sheshapot shaleitz. And in this Rav, why is wood not burned? Because it's protected by all the meat that surrounds the skewer, the wooden skewer. Says Rabbi Yehuda, the same thing happens to a metal skewer. You're right, part of it is touching the flame, but the rest of it is surrounded by a nice cold animal, which is going to keep the heat in check, and it's not going to, says the Gemara, no. There's the concept of heat conduction. It will transfer the heat throughout the entire metal. There's a big difference between metal and wood, so it's also to use metal. You take the legs, you put it inside the animal. Rabbi Kiva says, no, you put it on the outside. Tanya, Rabbi Yishmael, Koireyu, Toich Toich, or Tuch Tuch. Where do we have this lashon, Leiby? Right. Where was that? Very good. Where? In Brachas. Very good. Here's somebody that doesn't do Chazara and he remembers it. Well, he's a doctor, he remembers everything. You do Chazara? Oh, sorry, Dr. Factor does Chazara. Sorry. Tuch Tuch. We had that lashon. It's only one time, another time in Shas, I believe. Tuch Tuch. It was a funny lashon. The pot makes a funny sound, but because you put things in the pot, he calls it a Tuch Tuch sound. The point is, Rashi explains, Rabbi Shmuel holds that you, like Rabbi Yossi Aglili, that you take the legs, you put it inside the animal, so it's like cooking inside a pot, and it makes a noise, a boiling noise of tuch tuch. Rabbi Tarfon Koreyu Gdi Mikulos. He is of the opinion that it's on the outside, and the outside is like a helmet. So I thought this mamish, only if you're from America, you'll understand what I'm talking about, only if you have social media or whatever. So this is what a Gdi with a helmet looks like. You have any idea what I'm talking about over here? Not really. Kansas City, Super Bowl, something? No, okay, fine. But, you have no idea. The Tehillim is mamish not holding. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. But this is what a helmet looks like. In Gemara language, it's like an armored helmet. But anyway, he has all this protection to his head, all the fats and the legs and everything else. Torah Bonon. Ezu Gdi Mekulos. The Osir Lechol B'leile HaPesach B'zman Hazeh. What is it Osir to eat? Like we discussed, you're not allowed to eat. Well, we had a Mishnah Daf Nun Gimel. Rashi says that there's places that are makbid not to have roasted meat. Why not to have roasted meat? Because people think that you're making Korban Pesach. Right, Henach? Remember? So what? How is it also nowadays? It has to be literally like this. If you roast it whole, that's a problem. But what if you chopped off one of its limbs? Or you cooked one of its limbs? That's not the problem. That's not similar to what they did in the Beis HaMikdash. Says Gemara, the Gemara understood that you cut the leg off and you roast it together with the animal, and that's considered not a problem. Because one of the legs are cut off. Sorry, and you cut it off and you roast it separately. It's not a problem. So certainly, if you cook it separately, obviously it shouldn't be a problem because you're cooking it and not roasting it. The problem is that he roasted it together. Oh, okay. I made a picture. I designed something. It wasn't bashert. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is it. Sorry. I showed it before without realizing that I showed it. We're not talking about that he cut the leg and then he put it in a pot. He's cooking it as he's roasting it. This thing is on a roaster, and this leg, one leg, is in a cooker. He's cooking and roasting together. That's the chiddush. Omar Rabbo. Okay. We have to understand Hagdama to the sugya. If a piece of meat has blood, the natural blood that meat has, if there's blood in the meat, that's not a problem. You're allowed to eat it. It's part of the meat. The only problem is when you take blood out of its main source, you're oiker the blood, and then you put it in another meat, that's when it becomes a problem. Now, if you salt meat, salting meat accomplishes that the blood doesn't escape and come back in. Because once it's nekar, it's uprooted from its source, goes back into the meat, that's when it becomes an issue. So let's say if you're roasting something, a lot of Rishonim say you don't have to salt at all. Because roasting, the blood comes out and never goes back in. It's not a cooking process where it's boiling up in the same pot and has the ability to go back in, sneak back in. Roasting just drips down into your grill or whatever it is and disappears. Says the Gemara, Omer Rabba, Haimul Yossa Sharia. You have stuffed meat with meat. You take this guy, right over here. Where is he? Here. Pretend that this is the cavity of the animal. Instead of this nasty stuff, you stuff it with, I shouldn't say nasty, this is the Korban Pesach. We're going to love it. Put meat in it. Chopped meat, a different type of meat. Now, the problem is, what's the issue? If you have just the natural meat and the blood is there, that's fine. You can eat that blood. Because blood that's part of the meat is mutter. But if you introduce another meat and the blood from meat A goes into meat B, that's a big problem. It was just uprooted from A, went to B. You're not allowed to eat it. The kishka, the stuffing of this animal is going to absorb the blood and you're drinking blood. What causes the blood to leave these walls and go into the middle? The heat. Well, that heat is also going to make it continue going out. It's going to go through and through. It's going to come out of this wall, go into here, and keep on going out until it disappears. Whatever causes it to go out of its source. Says the Gemara, so, I have a raya. It says you should take its innards and put it inside. So it's because the concept of kaboiloi kach poltoi. How could I take these guys and put it inside? Because any blood that came out of here, goes in here, will continue going out. No, that's different. The reason is because we have the cut of the animal. If you hold it like this, upside down, and here's the shchita, so all the blood oozes out of the animal, and it's not an issue. Made of dayiv, it will come out. So, we just turned to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by KesherNafshi.org, or Kesher Nafshi, in the Zchus of the struggling kids in pain from Klal Yisroel. For Refuah Shelayma, for Cholei Yisrael, especially our MDY family, please consider joining MDY Tehillim group at tehillim.8mindaf.com. Not 8 minute, 8min.com. So the Gemara. So, Murav Yerushalmi. I don't know what it's called in English. You take some hearts. What?
Jerusalem mix.
Yeah.
They call it the menus in English.
In English, but what about in America? They probably don't call it like in a non-Jewish restaurant.
Yeah, it's illegal.
I don't think it's sweetbread. Sweetbread is more like the brains, but sometimes they say sweetbreads and they mean
They have liver, they have spleen in Murav Yerushalmi.
spleen, heart's liver. Mamish, the best of the best. Sounds delicious. So, oy vey vey. You didn't just say that. Nechem yourself. Mordechai Seltzer. Mordechai Seltzer says it's delicious. Okay. So, but the Gemara, the Gemara says that you're not supposed to eat hearts. Hearts make you forget your learning. It's not the greatest idea. The heart. What? Says the Gemara. Right, it's true. Ashkenazim don't eat it, Sephardim do eat it. It's a whole thing. That's why when you go to a restaurant, you probably shouldn't order Murav Yerushalmi if you're Ashkenazi. Me'el Daivi. You're Ashkenazi Mordechai? Yeah. Nevim Mesayele. Halev. You want to eat the heart. Koira, you rip out the heart. Koira, you tear it open. You have to get that blood out that's inside the artery. Omoitzi is domai. Here, your picture, beautiful. This is also from, I know Avram Weisfish sent me, but this one was, I thought, clear. You see the cut, here's the blood inside the heart, you take it out. Loi koiroi, what happens if you forgot? Koiroi, la'achar bishuloi, umutar. You can do it afterwards. When the Gemara says bishul, Rashi points out immediately doesn't mean cook, it means to roast. Why could you wait until afterwards? Because the way, how the heart absorbed the blood, it spits it out, so there's no blood in the heart. Whatever you see there is just the congealed blood from later on that didn't get absorbed in the heart. Says the Gemara, no. Shani leiv, the Shia, a heart is smooth. In other words, it's difficult for a heart to absorb blood. V'haravin sabo, taflei, Ravin, the elder, Taflei Ahu Bar Goizala, he took this bird and he breaded it l'Rav. Special for Rav, made a schnitzel, very heavy breading. V'amarlei. And Rav said, Imalo, if it's very good, Imalo Taflei, Havli Veichel, let me eat from this. Now, you see from here that Rav wasn't concerned that baby blood dripped out of the bird as he was cooking it. It's not like the schnitzel, nice. It was a whole bird. What about the blood from the bird that goes into the breading on the outside? Wasn't concerned. Says the Gemara, Ahi bismida. So the Gemara takes these words and makes a halacha out of this. When we're talking about fine flour throughout Kachim we learned, doesn't mean fine. It's not referring to, like we call today, fine, very thin. Fine means very expensive, quality. But it's very thick actually. And because it's very thick, it doesn't absorb the blood. The mifrir, it breaks apart if it would absorb, and therefore it doesn't absorb. V'arava, ask the Gemara, V'arava, ikla lebeis reish galusa, he vent to the famous Rish Galus, v'tavali bar avazan, they took a duck, a goose, a delicacy, and they breaded it. Amar iloi de chaziti de zig. If I wouldn't see that the juices that come out, that go into the bread, if it's not as clear, kizuza chivara, like a clear glass, a white, chivara is white, loy achli minei, I wouldn't eat from it. In other words, if I had a little bit of red, it seems like there would be blood in it, so maybe I'm not eating it. But now I could eat it, because it's nice and clear. And if you say this idea, that it disappears, so what's the problem? Ma'ir kizig, who cares? Afilu kolei zignami, at the end of the day, whatever caused the blood to leave the bird, to leave the goose, should make it go out completely. You see a little red, nothing to do with the blood, something else. Hasam bichivarto disharir. You're talking about it's very hard, it's tough, and therefore it is different. Says the Gemara v'hilchasa. So what do I come from? It's not really the halacha, it's the Gemara's halacha. This mida bein asmik, bein loy asmik. If it's the thicker crumbs breaded, so it doesn't matter whether even if it's red, sharia, that's not blood, it doesn't absorb blood. The chivarta, if you're talking about white flour, izig, kizuz chivara, if it's clear, the whatever juices come out are like white glass, sharia, then it's mutter iloi aser. So basically, we're taking what Rav said, we're taking what Rav said, we make a halach out of it. The shar kamachim, any other flour, asmik aser, if you see red, a hint of red, that means it did absorb blood, it's aser, loy asmik, if it's not red, it is mutter. In our day, this is not brought down la halacha because we don't know the difference between different flours, different things, and memela, we cannot take this literally. Says the Gemara, Haimul Yasa. This stuffed animal. Manda osar, according to Manda, it says it's also afilu puma letachas. Even if its mouth is downwards and l'chayr, the blood will ooze out, not. It's also. Uman deshari afilu pumeleil. And the one that says that it's mutter even if it's this way with the mouth all the way up. So the blood is not coming out through the head, through the neck incision. It's still mutter. Why? Because we have the concept of kabailoi kach paltai. The way the blood leaves the cavity of the animal and goes into the stuffing, that same way we'll take it out of the stuffing, outside of the animal completely, and it's mutter. And in fact, paskin that a stuffed animal, it's mutter, we're not concerned about the blood. You have a piece of meat, a red piece of meat. Where did it get its blood from? Not from within. It got its blood from some vein, some artery. Beye, the beitzim of an animal. Here, picture. By the way, when I used to work in Shchita, there was a guy, that heads the butcher department in Best Supermarket. Every time he saw me, he says, give me tavili beitzim shel keves. I guess it's a major delicacy for some people. I heard that a lot of people like it a lot. I don't recommend it. Really? They're Ashkenazim, those people that said it's horrible. I'm talking about, this guy was a French Sephardi. It's all very different. I don't know if you ever had French pizza with tuna fish. It's a different matzav over there. We're not going to go into it because we might have a Frenchie or two that watch, so we're not going to go. But the mice have unbelievable taste. When it comes to food, unbelievable. It's gewaldige stuff. So, yeah. So, it's an acquired taste. You can work on other things to acquire. I would work on, if you're not into whiskey, whatever, beer, there's the other thing, gefilte fish. If you're not into gefilte, acquire that one first. No, sorry. Mizrike is a big vein here. Here's a great picture of Mizrike. Here's the kana, by the way. This is what you have to shecht. Here's the shipua, the koiva. Remember the shipua, the koiva? It goes upwards, beautiful. Anyways, look at this nice vein. Great picture. Over here, the other one's vrid, aleph, vrid. This is where, who just sent a beautiful thing that the only animals in the world that these major arteries run together with the kana and the veshet are the kosher animals. But if you take, for instance, pork, pig, davar acher, its main arteries on the other side of the spine. You can't get to it if you do a shechita. And memela will suffer a lot when you do shechita. So the Torah knew as soon as you cut this vein, or I think it's this vein, then it floods blood to the brain, and it knocks the animal out unconscious immediately. It's like there's a certain Ruach HaKodesh in there, so to speak, in the Torah, obviously. But now scientists are there's no other animal in the world that has the veins like that. Anyway, so these veins, so what's the difference? The difference is that the blood over here is not absorbed in the animal. This over here you have blood that's out there that's osur to eat. Says the Gemara, the machlokes between Ravacha and Ravina. B'chol haTorah kula Ravacha l'chumra v'Ravina l'kula a yisoid. Every time these two argue, Ravina is always the one that's mekel. V'hilchas Ravina l'kula, and every single time we passing like Ravina l'kula. L'bar mehanet las, besides these three things, these three foods that we just mentioned. Umtza be'im mizrike. The Ravacha l'kula v'Ravina l'chumra. Over here, Ravacha is the one that's mekel. And guess what? The halacha is like Ravacha. We're always going to go, when these two argue, we're always going to go with, like the mekel, v'chas Ravacha l'kula. Now the Gemara, it's a very, very easy Gemara. It's repeated 3 times, word for word. Hayimtza. You're going to take this piece of meat that's red and has blood. Dasmik, full of blood. Chatre. You have to cut it, because that drains the blood. Umalche, you have to give it salt. Afilu gdeir shari, you could throw it into a pot and it's mutter to eat. Shavte bishbuda, you put it on a skewer. Shari, all the blood comes out, made of dayev. Achte agumre. What if you put it on top of a grill? Pligi bar avacha v'ravina, chadas v'chad shari. Who's going to say lekula, mutter? We said Ravacha is mekel now. Man da'asar mitzmat samitz, because he holds that the grill causes it to shrivel up and hold on to the blood. That blood is asar. Man da'shari mishav shayv, the grill is going to cause the blood to come out. V'hilchasa mishav shayv, it's okay, like Ravacha. Next, exactly the same thing. When it comes to the beitzim, chatchinu umalchinu, cut it, salt it. Afilu l'gdei shari, you could put it into a pot, talinu bishbuda, put it on a skewer. Sharion, and then it's okay. Why? Made of dye, it oozes out. Achtinu agumra, if you put it on a grill, pligi bar ravacha v'ravina, chadas v'chad shari. Man da'asar mitzvah samis, uman da'shari mishav shayiv. V'chein mizrikei, and the same thing to the veins. Hadran Alach, cut it, salt it. I feel like there's shari. You could even throw it in the pot, put it on a skewer, base shchitel tatay. Here's one difference. Over here it says that the neck incision has to be downwards, shari. Then it's okay. Made of dayev, all the blood will come out. After agumre, you put it on grill, on coals. Pligi Rav Acher v'Ravino chadosa v'chat shari. Mandosar, the one Ravinu says that it's also mitzvah samis because it shrivels up. The one that says mutar because it actually expels the blood outside. V'hilchasa mishav shoiv. The halacha is that it expels the blood. Lekula says the Gemara. Hai umtzo the asmik. You have this red meat. Chali yasir. The juices that come out of the red meat and they're red. Asir. Lo yasmik, but if the juices are not red, chal yeshari, then it's mutar. Ravin Omar, afilu lo yasmik nami chal yasir. Even if it's not red, the juices are asur. Iyesha de lesbe yishu yakadama. It's impossible that there's not some sort of blood in there. Omalei mar bar ameimar Ravashi. Abba, my father ameimar migamale gemue. He would drink this juice with the blood. There's no blood. It's not a problem. Ikadam Ravashi gufe migamale gemue. It's not that he told Ravashi. Ravashi himself drank it. Oh, malei mar baramimel Ravashi. Abo, hai chalo the cholod bechodazimni. You take vinegar, and you soak the meat. You put the meat in it. Su loy tani cholod be. You cannot use it again to remove the blood. Why is this any different? Why? Because it becomes weak. This vinegar becomes weak. But what if you start off with a weak vinegar? It's okay. Why? What's the difference if you start off with a weak vinegar, you could use it to remove the blood, but if you use vinegar that was strong and it became weak through removing the blood, it's too weak to do it a second time. Why? Says the Gemara, Daf Yomi Aleph. Hasam, Isei Likiu the Peribeine. Over there, the fruit is there, the wine is there, the wine that made this vinegar is still there, it still has something there. So mainly, even though it's weak, it has the power to remove blood. Hacha Leis Likiu the Peribeine. But once you use it once, you no longer have the fruit in it. Have a wonderful day. Noam, please, if you can, say Shir Amalois. Yisroel Adonai K'Madonai Chesed V'Arbei Mifdos V'Yivdet Yisroel V'Kol Bnei Yisov V'Chein Kol Bnei Yisrael Yisrael V'Sov V'Shvi V'Oim Nebeim B'Yom V'Beim B'Yabah Shomokim Rachem L'Mitzvim Mitzvim V'Bov V'Beim Hashtoch V'Galo B'Zman Korev B'Nei Mar Omein